grande.
Negocio.
Dos grande.
Negocio.
Dos.
Mike.
Dos.
Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Another beautiful day in the Loft 100 Studios, sunny Southern California. Glad you guys are along for the ride. Mike Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todoroff, of course, our man Sully.
Did I hear that you were? In Mexico recently?
I was down in wine country, Valle
Excuse me.
Guadalupe.
País de vino.
Lave sus manos, Mike.
See?
Happy Valle. Do you speak Spanglish, or do you try to speak Spanish?
I speak
or do
the
you
language
say like
of
"Donde está el," or are you like "Donde está el casa de Pepe"? or do you actually?
Excuse me, my man, but I'm looking for El Taco. No,
And by El Taco, I mean the taco.
No, I am terrible in Spanish, but yeah, I was down there in Ensenada recently. Beautiful.
Was that because you get Funyuns at wholesale from the? Do you know there's a Costco down there?
There's everything
Used to be a
down
price
there.
club down there.
Really?
Home Depot, Costco, Walmart.
Yeah. Well, we were part of Mexico at one point, and I think it's just going
Pretty
the other way
much.
now.
Some shows you can find on the dark web. Anyhow, it's a great place to visit. I was down there for a spay and
though?
neuter event
Okay.
Wait.
for
Okay, spay and neuter event.
for dogs.
I'm an event planner. I'd like to. So, was it an event like was there fanfare? Was there like, hi, I'm here for the spay and neuter event. My name's Mike Costa.
Right.
A pair of shears.
Time for the chippity choppity.
Wait, tell me, why would you say event? I'm just curious about the event thing.
My wife sits on the board of directors for a dog foster rescue group. Friends of ours.
Slips right off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mutt Dog Foster Group.
Sorry, muttscouts.org if you guys are thinking of adopting. Great friends of ours who are from Mexico. They pay the whole bill for the vets to come in. They foot the bill for
What was it
everything.
for underprivileged dogs? I don't understand that.
For people, because
People can't afford it?
pet control down there is as we know, isn't the greatest. So people want to get their dogs spayed and neutered. So our friends pay the whole bill, and you can just show up at any given time on this Saturday and get your dog spayed or neutered.
Wouldn't you want to have that like on a Tuesday? That seems like a Saturday thing. Like, Saturday thing.
I-
Saturday thing, go down for lobster on a Saturday.
I wish.
You know?
Yeah, but I literally am transporting dogs that have been sedated to an operating table in a room,
Oh, wow.
and they get it done. The vets
It's like
are
it
awesome.
reminds me of your years in college, Mike. You're transporting. Can I ask you this? Who holds the tray where where they bink bink?
It's done It's done
Like
right
on the
there
side of
on
the road. Is this a sanitary?
Oh yeah,
operation?
it's in a room, and they have these portable operating tables, and then whatever is taken away from the female or the male dog is deposited in a hazardous waste bucket.
And goes right over to Pedro's Tacos for the birria stand.
They're called
Now,
Ensenada oysters.
Do you ever raise money for this event?
We sure do.
And how much do you raise per year for this?
I think they're raising like $100,000 a year.
$100,000 for
Yeah.
nip
Yeah.
cut, nip tuck?
But this is a couple times a year in different parts of Baja California.
We haven't had our 4,000-pound, 1-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog.
How old is he?
He's 13 months. It's going to be great when I say.
go- you can go
It's going to be great when I say he's 63 months. No, he's 13. January, 13 months. Yeah.
Is he at full size now?
No, not even close.
Really?
Well, that's why you can't. Not yet.
No, and they say wait till he lifts his leg. I don't want to see him lift his leg. Guy's hung like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like it's a Bernese Mountain Dog, and the problem is he thinks he's a puppy. Because
They all do.
Leaps like this. Like you got to set your cord when he's like in the house.
Exactly.
Like,
Is he also a lap dog?
Totally. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's actually a back dog because you see his lap when he's up in there. We got Howie Font coming up in this next. We didn't get to him because we're talking about Mike's event in Mexico. Lave sus manos.
I'll find some pictures. It's pretty great.
Oh, look
go.
at that.
What
Have your
population have
pets
you pets?
spayed
Yep.
and neutered.
You're just like
Hey,
Bob.
Bob Bark here. Here, Mike. Just take this and do your own
Love
thing.
that guy.
Big Biz Show. See you in a minute.
Oh my God.
I'm tired of this. I'm sick and tired of an 8 and 10 record.
No way. In the
to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Studios, Big Biz rolling on. Costa, Marybird Godwin, Greg Todoroff, our man Sully. A little slow on the uptake there. I was trying to
Get your events
What are we doing?
going for your event. You get yourself a.
Well, my
on the
wife,
event?
my wife actually sent pictures of the dog event,
Oh.
and I'm trying to get those sent
Let's
to our
not.
control room.
Let's not do. You know, Rick
wanna
DeVoe
see
sends me those kinds
photos.
of pictures. I don't want to see those kind of pictures.
Yeah.
Hey, I know. Let's gather around the fire kids and look at the spay and neuter event we just went to.
Yeah.
I want to see pics. Pics or it didn't happen.
Day trader trio right there. Hey, speaking of Mexico, do you know that Mexico has a stock market? No, this is not a joke. No.
It sounds
Hey,
like
two
it.
guys walking to a bar.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's called the Bolsa.
Yes.
Do you guys have a number back there? Jared Coleman, our Emmy Award-winning director, and Chris Castillo, one of our producers back there, along with Curtis Matovich and Christian Cyber and Chloe. So right now, that is the Mexican Bolsa is at 55,531. Okay, that would be the S&P. I don't think that's the Bolsa. I think that's the S&P exchange traded fund for the Bolsa. But either way, the Bolsa itself is the stock market, the amalgamation of Mexican company stocks
Okay.
that used to only be Mexican company stocks. Now they include some U.S. companies that Mexico is invested in. But it used to be negative 13,000. Oh, you realize, so do you know what the number means? And bring up Howie Fond here. Howie Fond, with the best hair in New York City as well as across the country, is our resident analyst here. But if you think about the number that is the Dow, what is the Dow at today, Howie? What's the number of today, roughly?
We're just under 40,000.
Okay, so 40,000. That means from the beginning of time in the Dow, and I think the Dow came in about, 19, 20, 25, something like that. It's 30 companies. It changed oftentimes. It represents the biggest piece of our economy. Used to be U.S. Steel. Now even Facebook was in it. It was in the Dow at some point. Long story short, this represents the ups and downs going on from the beginning of the Dow, and we're almost 40,000.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously stock markets always go up. It's like real estate always goes up, right? The Bolsa, not necessarily investing in, I mean, over time, I should say.
Sure.
markets go up. Investing in the Bolsa has not proven that because it was in the negative for some years. And imagine investing in the stock market. And today in the imagine saying today on the Dow Jones, we're negative 13,000. Not as bad as yesterday, we were negative 14,000. So speaking of, keep that business stuff up in Mexico. Drive that GDP over there, Mike.
That's right.
Okay.
Keep
I will
doing
do
your
my part.
dog snipping events. It'll be fantastic. Howie, what do you got for us today?
Bigger hair.
Well, I wanted to retread a topic that I've talked about a few times. And like Mike's drinking in wine country, the federal government continues to go overboard.
Listen, I love this. Didn't you say last time the money they spend in one day equals whatever since the pyramids of Giza?
Yeah.
If you had
that's
$500,000
right.
a day or something like that, what was that number?
It was 6 months federal spending is as much as it would be if you made $500,000 every day since the Great Pyramid of Giza was built. I mean,
$500,000 a day.
crazy.
If you had $500,000 a day to spend,
Oh my.
Yep.
that represents
Holidays,
6 months
weekends,
spending of the
everything.
federal government going back to the days of the pyramids. My goodness. So give us another nugget. I feel like there's one coming on.
Well, I'm on this again because it's fairly frustrating, and I want to know what you think, Sully. We're just about at the end of May, and the end of May will signify $3.9 trillion of federal spending just this year to date.
What does that equal to?
3.9 trillion. It's
That's a $500,000 a day since Jesus. It goes back. The long story short is, in terms of spending. Now this isn't deficit. And we'll bring up usdebtclock.org here so you can see the speedometer.
Oh,
that is
no.
our
I don't
US
want
debt. Now keep in mind, but I want to explain the debt thing because it is not as bad as you think it is. Because a lot of this debt that's held by foreign companies is bonds. They're investing in U.S. debt. So this is not that we owe a credit card payment of $20 trillion. But if we can bring that chart up there when you guys get a chance of usdebtclock.org, you see there our national debt now $34 trillion. 780 million and change.
Why is it going so
I know, it's
fast?
like it's moving really quickly.
It's $104,000 roughly per citizen of the U.S.
Whoa.
But and that includes babies, but per voter, okay, per voter, or I should say taxpayer, is what $267,000 per voter is what our debt is. Now debt's different than the spending, but they tie hand in hand because what is it costing us to spend this kind of money, Howie? Because this is the ugly part.
Well, the ugliest part is the net interest that we pay every year, and I've shown this before, but it has exceeded Social Security, but it's exceeded almost every other thing in the federal budget. National defense, Medicare, Medicaid is all less than what we pay on interest on that $34 trillion. So at some point, there's going to be a breaking point where, yes, Sully, people love our securities. It's the epitome of security in investing. But at some point, they're not going to want federal debt as much.
Well, but let me push back on you. By the way, I agree with you, but I'm going to push back because there are those people that say, because we've been saying this for 20 years. We've been saying this since national debt was in the billions, not the trillions. And we say someday. It never happens. Why do we really care? Is it come down to us being a global currency still at some point? Because I don't see any company or any country that's vying for global currency other than maybe digital currency at some point in terms of like what they did when they saved a couple economies in the past. But the bottom line is we've been talking about the fact that countries are not going to want to buy our debt forever, but they do want to buy our debt because we're good at paying it back. We're good at redemptions. We're good at coupon payments. We're good at...
We are the best turd in the punch bowl.
We
yes,
are, exactly.
Right.
Or the least dirty shirt in the hamper, but if you want to use that, that would be okay. Howie, thanks for bringing that one up.
Yeah.
Whew,
No, you're right. It's a race to the... It's a race for the best currency, not the...
But at the same time, speaking of race, is it a race to the bottom, though, when it comes down to yields on our debt? Because why do you invest in debt? Well, because you can, number one, it's a safe bet. Number two, why do we have bonds? Well, banks can't afford to loan the government money to build a bridge. It's too much cash. So they float a bond. They say, we're going to owe this money. We want you to buy a piece of our debt, and we're going to pay you back an interest rate or a yield and a return. Doesn't it, after a while, that bond, the yield curve, which affects the stock market, go down to where it's not worth investing in bonds anymore, and then we're in a banana republic in terms of investing? Is that the real danger, in your opinion?
That's the real danger. That's where this is going to come to a head. At some point, it is going to be too much. We are going to exceed our debt to GDP ratio too much. Japan's trying it right now. We are the world's reserve currency, so we have a little bit longer because no one else is doing it.
Yeah, but what are we leaving our grandkids? I mean, honestly, I sort of feel like the digital currency might be the savior of all this thing if it could get regulated. Is that overstating?
Well, I think it will in that it's competition. So if you have Bitcoin or stable coins that aren't going to move in value, things like gold as well, then the U.S. government has to compete with that, and people are going to go to something stable, quote unquote, like Bitcoin will be at some point, is the theory. Instead of going into U.S. Treasuries.
Hey, Howie, on Tuesday's show, tomorrow's show, I want you to talk to us about stablecoin. We used to talk to Ben Ayers from Rival about stablecoin. Never really understood the stablecoin versus Bitcoin. What do I do? His name is Howie Font. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow.
Greatest hair ever.
Smartest kid on Wall Street. Does that just feel like you're in trouble when he's with, like, Mike's like, nothing?
Yep. Oh, I just sit there and take the slings and arrows.
Have you invested in any Bitcoin or any digital currency?
Have you? No.
Have you dipped your toe in it?
No.
Have you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, but it was very calculated. I knew when I was going to get in and get out. I knew before I got in how to get the cash out, because one of the biggest problems was you could invest in it, but how do you get the money
how do you get out?
for a while? That's all been sort of taken care of, but I can tell you, in the name of good business, I think we already have digital currency. I mean, I've got the same $40 in my wallet I've had for 6 months, and so do you. We don't use cash. You use cash when you tip a valet, right? I don't remember the last time I used cash. I mean, it's usually for tipping, honestly. There's, or for paying for a haircut.
I have a $100 bill that
you go south with.
Yeah.
Is it a lucky hundy?
Yeah, well, it's always in my shoe when I go south.
But let me ask you this though: Is it would you feel insecure if you didn't have that $100 bill in your wallet? Like, is it behind your driver's license or something? Not as a bribe, but I'm saying.
No, yeah.
Because I know people have
good to have
lucky 20 in their wallet or something.
Yeah.
Do you?
Good to have. I have a lucky $2 bill. In my
Really?
wallet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll get you a lot.
Stack of $2 bills in my change thing in my bureau in my closet. And I don't know, I can't remember how, but I think I was, as it turns out, in Mexico. And I got it back as change. Like they gave me 20 of them. Because I think they're prevalent. So I'll trade you $60 for my $22 bills if you want.
Here you go.
Yeah.
There you go. When my mom was still dancing in Vegas,
Ooh, wow, that's interesting. Hold on.
That's a whole show right there.
Tassels, some of the tassels smelling like Old Spice. Yeah, I understand why she came home, Mike. I'm sorry, Michael. Were you 16? This is Mike's childhood,
Star
folks.
attraction, the hacienda. No, she when she and my dad would go to Vegas, she would come home with you actually put silver dollars.
Was it Uncle Daddy or was it really Daddy?
In the slot machines, and we've got a box of silver dollars in our safety deposit box from like the 60s.
That's cool.
They used to come over. In case you guys are wondering. It is the Big Biz Show. Wherever you're listening, either here in the United States, we are now in Mexico on Bloomberg Financiero. Of course,
Which promotes all of our events.
That's right. You know, it says El Gran Espectáculo Empresarial.
Or Los Dos Grande, as Mike likes to call it.
Soon to be in Bloomberg EU.
Yeah. Ew.
European Union.
Ew.
Oh.
Nice to have you.
Love
if
it.
you say the word smooth jazz to any of these musicians who played with Eric Clapton or James Brown or anyone else, they will hit you over the head with it.
Well,
smooth jazz ain't a thing.
They don't like that that genre of music?
I just don't think it's a thing.
What do we call this?
Smooth
Smooth
jazz.
Ouch. Day Trader Trio, can you get a little wham for us, please? James Brown. Boom. There you go. Great to have you along today. Always great to have one of you viewers, since we're in 125 million homes domestically, add the other 15 or so in Mexico and whatever EU is going to be. That brings us up to about 150 million homes altogether.
A lot of eyes.
Weeknights. And we do replays on the weekend, which me and Greg pick. And it's usually the ones that, give us free goods, like if it's a motorcycle company.
Right.
Right. So
There's that muffler you
nothing like a little payola.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's great to get email from our folks, especially when it's American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. And God bless our military men and women who serve our country overseas and underway. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, someone from AFN told you about MDBH.
That's it.
The stock symbol.
MDBH.
It's MDB Capital. MDB Capital. Lou Basenese is the president and chief marketing strategist. He is a guy that's been on. I've seen him on Fox Business and CNBC, and of course I've spent a ton of time there every day, as well as the other shows that I'm on. But I'll tell you, he's the right guy. If there's a marketing guy that can run a business, I've seen him enough times on television. This is the guy. You're going to love him. They launch big ideas. They're a better approach to venture capital. That I ran and still am general partner in a venture fund. I've talked about VC and private equity ad nauseum. I thought it was great when we got an email and Greg brought him on the air with us. So I give you Lou Basenese. Lou, how are you, sir? Thanks for coming on. This is nothing unfamiliar to you. And for some reason, I loved your work. I loved your work in, what was the movie? He looks exactly, it was Tag. Jeremy Renner, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God! It is Jeremy Renner.
I wanted to say that to you. I've seen you a million times.
I won't say anything about smooth.
I swear.
I won't say anything about smooth jazz
I wanted to say that to you for a long time because you've been on the air after me and before me a number of times on Newsmax and Fox Business and Fox. I said, I got to tell that guy he looks like Jeremy Renner. You probably get that every day.
I get that and Tim Tebow 6 foot.
Oh my God, he looks like Tim
He
Tebow.
looks like Tim Tebow as well.
Yeah, screw Renner. It's Tim Tebow, exactly.
Hey, Lou, tell us. We talk about VC here for a long time because I'm so involved in it. But talk about what you guys are doing, because you're saying you're making venture stage investing easy for everyday investors. Break that down for us.
Yeah, no. So if you think about venture stage investing, no one really has access to it. I mean, I've championed the everyday investor for all of my career. And I could tell you, even as a guy that was on the inside, I had very limited access to some of the best venture opportunities. So our firm's been around for about 30 years. And about 4 to 5 years ago, we realized we needed to give everyday investors the opportunity to get involved with early stage venture investments, but we just do everything completely different. So we're not focused on the next consumer product or software. We're looking at technologies that we call deep tech. So these are drugs, medical devices, new semiconductor technologies that can really change the world in ways of saving lives.
What is it? What is deep tech versus high tech, or versus just tech or biopharma? Give me the definition of deep tech.
Yeah. So deep tech. Yeah, deep tech for us are the things that really have to be engineered. There's deep science involved, material science, if it's in biology. So a lot of deep tech is in drug development or medical device development. Whereas if you look at traditional venture, most of them are the next app. It's more software, right? So that's not deep tech. That's more just involved with scaling very quickly, a technology that can be used. It's more of a software application. So most of venture ignores the opportunities that we focus on, which really makes a great opportunity for us and for our investors to be the only game in town that finds these things. So, behind that, we actually have one of the only globally translated patent databases that helps us find these deep tech innovations. So we're looking everywhere and anywhere in the world to find the next big technologies that can positively impact the world. We don't care about the next, blockchain technology or the next cannabis invention, whatever. We want things that actually have a meaningful impact.
By the way, Cannabis Invention is the name of the band now. From now on. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Cannabis Invention.
Lou
I get royalties on that.
You got it. No, you're good. No, listen, I got you. National TV, it's clear.
Lou Basenese Tebow, President and Chief Market Strategist of MDB Capital. Ticker symbol MDBH. Check them out at mdb.com. You even went to the University of Florida. I just saw that in the notes.
I did. I'm about a decade older than Tim.
So. But good news is you look younger. So that's the important part.
Head back for a party. Lou, how hard is it to sift through the minefield of all the opportunities to invest in and find that well that's going to produce oil?
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect question. What we champion ourselves in doing is being really good at looking at a lot of different ideas. So I'm blessed to be part of a team that has over 10 analysts that are day in and day out scouring patent filings, going to scientific conferences, scientific journals, to find those handful of deals each year that we want to back in technology. So how do we make sure we do it right? Well, one, a lot of we've been doing it for 30 years almost. So we've learned the hard way. I mean, honestly, we've made mistakes, and that you learn from the mistakes. But more important than that, we take ownership stakes in all the companies we back. So we're putting our own money, our own firm capital behind these as well, along with our investors. So we have to choose wisely, because if the investments don't work out, we're not in business anymore. Right. So, you want to make the comparison to Tebow. I hope I have a longer career in investment banking than he did in the NFL. So.
Well, you clearly do already with 30 years experience. Hey, Lou, I got to ask you, I probably look, and I'm not kidding, even right now, I still look at probably 100 deals a year. Motion Ventures was looking at 300 deals a year. We probably wrote 5 term sheets a year and closed 2, which is about right. One of the things that you talk about is technology and what makes something bigger, better, faster, stronger, cheaper, or the tiebreaker. But really, does it come down to management for you as it did for us, or are you stepping in much like a private equity firm and including management? Because that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So management's that one variable. You don't know how someone's going to perform in the job, on the field. I think that's the hardest one to control for. So we view ourselves, we bring management along, right? If the right management team's not there, we see ourselves as true partners. So we're not just providing the capital, but we're providing any other resources a company and technology needs to get to the market to have the impact. So, that's challenging. You've been involved in this world. Sometimes the right leader is the right leader for a season or for a period of that company's life cycle and development. And then you got to have the hard conversations of, hey, man, it's time to hit the road and move on down it, move over so that we could bring in the next person to run the company. Well, so we're very active in that.
And I think the fact that you bring in more than just money is a big deal. If you think in terms of what your morphing is, you're morphing venture capital, which is a 7-year long soak, and private equity, which is who comes in mid-soak and perhaps gives a partial exit, puts management. But what you guys are doing really is sort of something that's both in terms of its VC and private equity. Listen, can I just, dare I say this on the same show? We got another guest I've just spent an entire hour with. You got to get your ass to San Diego. It's not a big ask.
Yep.
Okay,
Let's
get
go,
over.
man.
You need to come back on the air with us on a regular basis.
Would love to.
Okay,
Would love to.
Well, you committed now on national TV. And by the way, welcome to, what's the name of the show? Weed Map Band. What did we call it again? I can't remember the name of it.
It's Lou's world, man. We're just living in it.
That's exactly right. Lou Basenese, President, Chief Marketing Strategist.
That's Tim Tebow.
MDB Capital. I think he still looks like Jeremy Renner. MDB.com. I've seen the guy a million times. I told you it was going to be great. Thank you. Thanks.
I like the pink jacket, actually. That was my favorite.
Stylish.
You didn't listen to a word he said. You're just looking at him.
Hey everybody, it is now time for the Sports Biz Minute presented by Prize Picks, the biggest, easiest daily fantasy platform out there today. Check them out at prizepicks.com. We're going to start off in golf. Megastar Scotty Scheffler, the charges against him stemming from a incident at Valhalla for the PGA Championship. All 4 have been dropped. His attorney announced yesterday he will not need to go back to Louisville for any sort of criminal case in the near future. Switching to the NFL, longtime NFL reporter Jim Trotter, his lawsuit against the NFL for unfair labor practices is going forward, which means that Commissioner Roger Goodell and a lot of top executives are going to have to testify under oath and say that no, he was not targeted unfairly when his contract with the NFL Network, which the NFL owns, was not renewed. Speaking of the NFL, Netflix is getting into that streaming game big time with the National Football League. They will stream 2 Christmas Day games coming up in the 2024 season, which is awesome if you have Netflix. If not, you can sit there and just wait for the highlights and the scores to scroll at the end of the game. That is your Sports Biz moment. Again, presented by Prize Picks, the easiest and best daily fantasy platform out there. Just go to prizepicks.com. Once again, here's Sully.
Can I tell you guys that I'm going to, I've got to go to Europe for a TV and an investor thing, but I'm also getting to go with Garrett Stubbs' group from Phillies to watch the Phillies play the Mets at Queen Elizabeth Stadium in London.
Wow.
Sweet.
So I'm getting I'm going shirtless with my Phillies shirt. What did Garrett come out with? What are they called? Overalls? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
This guy's the most marketable guy in baseball right now. I mean, honestly, and he's just one of our friends, and he doesn't even play. I mean, he's having a big year this year because he's playing probably more and more. But
Sure.
his business is chief dugout officer, chief of funk, chief vibe officer. Honestly,
but you
and
talk-
he's getting paid $2 million a year.
You talk to anybody in management in baseball,
And we will not let a guy like that go.
he is a glue guy.
Oh, absolutely right. And he's playing more. And I told him the other day. So I'm dropping names.
Look at
know.
you.
I told him the other day. I said, it's just let me give you some advice, kid. He's in the major leagues for 5 years. He's been to World Series 3 of the 5 times. I said, realize it's just a moment. And the nicest guy in the world is JT Realmuto, best catcher in baseball. It's just a matter of time for he gets injured, and then Garrett's in full time.
If you do the Nancy Kerrigan on him, he's going to slide right in the starting lineup.
Tanya Harding.
Her too.
All right, very good. Hey, it's so great to get emails from our viewers across the country. We're at 125 million TV homes every weeknight. Of course, we're also simulcast on American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. And of course, simulcast on radio in a number of places. But thanks to BizTV, thanks to Bloomberg, thanks to American Forces Network. But we got, if I'm not mistaken, Greg, our executive producer, we got an email. Was this from a shareholder?
I believe so.
And it was a shareholder of a company called Clearmind Medicine. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol CMND. And of course, Adi Zuloff-Shani is the CEO of the company, and she is she in Israel right now?
I believe so.
Well, these guys are treating addiction. Mike, I want you to listen up on this one.
Ear is cocked.
I don't think it's food addiction. Dr. Zuloff-Shani, thanks so much for putting up with us during the beginning of this, and great to see you here. And I know that's probably 3 a.m. Next Monday in Israel, but happy Thursday to you here in the U.S. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Hey, can you give us an overview? You guys are a psychedelic pharmaceutical company, which I dabbled in the 60s, but I had my own private business. No, but this is serious stuff. You guys are focused on discovery and development of kind of psychedelic derived therapies, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about what you guys are treating and why this is so front and center now.
Correct. So We're a pharmaceutical company with our active pharmaceutical ingredient being psychedelic derived. We are currently developing treatments for various addictions. First addictions is alcohol use disorder. We are just about to start our first clinical trials in humans, but we're also developing something psychedelic based for weight loss.
Wow.
And yeah.
Me and Mike are looking at the chart here and asking for a friend. We're like 5 of the 6 up there. Mental health, depression,
we need to
obesity.
Be your study group.
Yeah, the thing, eating disorders, they're sure fun. Hey, but seriously though, we've been on the show now for close to 30 years on radio, close to 12 years on television. We've interviewed everyone in terms of biotech, biopharma, all the way through every industry. And recently, we're just hearing about the psychedelics thing. And of course, I jest when I talk about the 60s. Because it was mind-altering, it was Timothy Lear and so on and so forth. But we're talking about these drugs in terms of suicidal ideation sometimes, as you say, in dealing with addictions. When did this sort of hit the tip of the spear? Because it seems like it's all new to us out here as consumers and as patients. Is this something that's recently new, or have you been working on it for a while now, suddenly it's coming to the peak?
That's a good question, because it was already discovered and there were clinical trials conducted with various psychedelics already at the beginning of last century, but for many reasons, and I don't want to go into the reasons, they were abandoned, they were stopped. But now, because there is such a rise in mental health disorders, and there's really nothing good out there to offer patients who suffer from that, and we know that anxiety, PTSD, depression is something that is continuously on the rise. There started to be an openness from regulators, from physicians, from pharmaceutical companies, understanding that psychedelics bears a huge potential. And there's a lot of investigations going around psychedelics. There are literally articles coming out of the best universities showing the potential. And we're at Clearmind, we also noticed this, but I think that what differs us from other companies in the space, universities, whoever is doing studies and studying psychedelic, is that our compounds are unique, innovative, and we have patents that protect, which is huge for investors.
So, doctor, I have a question, because I know that historically treatment for alcohol disorder or drug disorders is typically abstinence totally, you don't try anything that's mind-altering substances.
And that's ridiculous, for God's sakes, I just want to say.
But I do know that microdosing and this type of treatment, psychedelics, is coming into treatment for this type of thing. And I hear the term microdosing under the care of a doctor. This is something similar to what you're doing, correct?
So no, our drug is slightly different. It is psychoactive in terms that it gives you a sensation, by the way, of like you had small portion of alcohol, even if you didn't have any alcohol whatsoever. But mainly what it does, it's like switching on a switch telling you that you are satiated. You don't need anything. You're good. You don't want to drink. This is based on testimonials that we heard about our product, MEI. What's the more well-known psychedelics that we hear a lot about, they are adjunct to psychotherapy, they are hallucinogenic, you need to be guided through the experience. MEI is not a hallucinogenic drug, so you're not going to go into trips, you don't need anyone to guide you while you're taking it. You can take it in the privacy of your own home. So it's slightly different. It is comes with all the benefits that we hear about psychedelics, that they're really doing something. There are great results and people are enjoying psychedelics.
Dr. Eddie Zuloff-Shani is the CEO of Clearmind Medicine, stock symbol CMND. Check him out, clearmindmedicine.com. Doctor, my body is a temple. I don't put anything bad into it.
It's an enormous temple.
It's an enormous temple.
Much like the pyramids of Giza.
Yes.
In fact, you're kind of shaped like that.
The Taj Mahal of human beings. But are we talking, are these chemical compounds? Are they natural compounds? What is the makeup of the psychedelic?
So ours is chemical. And I have to say that as a CEO of a pharmaceutical company, I always prefer synthetics because you know that it's constant. You always get the same dose. You always take the same formulation, it doesn't change, but essentially it's the same, because essentially it's like a dance, if you will, between the receptor and the molecule. It doesn't really matter what is the origin of the molecule. And I'm sorry, but I didn't relate to the question that the lady asked me about addiction. We are a pharmaceutical company, meaning that we are taking baby steps when we develop something for humans. And the major thing that we are pursuing is safety. And for sure, we will not want to switch one addiction with another. So we do studies to understand if MEI, our compound, is addictive. And I can tell you that the studies that we have been conducting until now, we haven't found MEI to be addictive any whatsoever. It's not rewarding. We even compared it to sucrose and cocaine, highly addictive components, and we didn't found it to be rewarding in comparison.
I've got to say, she belongs to the whole show club.
Yeah, she's an hour.
Dr. Adi Zuloff-Shani, will you come back with us and spend like the entire hour? I mean, it's one of these, I mean, it's such an interesting topic. We want to have you come back. By the way, they are publicly traded under the stock symbol CMND. It's Clearmind Medicine. Clearmind Medicine is clearmindmedicine.com. Their stock symbol CMND. Thank you, man. I just, asking for a friend, but yeah. By the way, the natural compound question. Did you ask the same question of General Mills when you bought your last 17 bags of Funyuns? Just question, just asking.
Onion powder.
Big Biz Show continues.
The Big Biz Show, emanating from the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. We got May Gray going on, heat wave, first of the summer coming in next week. That's what we're dealing with. Chief, Mike Costa, Mary Bert Godwin, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
As we broadcast from San Diego, California, our heat wave means it's going to get up to 73 degrees.
Oh, it's been so cold.
Time to shed some clothing.
Prayers.
I could be wearing a Daisy Dukes and a Madras button down. Hey, Paul Travers, who we've had on the air a number of times, I'm very happy to announce that we're going to be covering this stock on a very frequent basis. He's the CEO and president of a company called Vuzix. Stock symbol VUZI. VUZI. You can go to vuzix.com. That's VUZIX.com. And we're talking about the AR space. We're talking about things that are now going to be every day in our world. And I will tell you, with respect to wearable technologies, I was talking to Rome Ramirez from Sublime, who I'm doing a bunch of songs with on an album. And we got from Apple the iVision to where you can, remember the movie Vanilla Sky when Tom Cruise was moving stuff back and forth?
Yeah.
iVision does that, so you can work on your computer with your hands.
No way.
So we're shooting a video of Rome producing one of our songs with the iVision, hoping that Apple will pick it up and make it a little bit viral right there. But I give you Paul Travers. Paul, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Sully, and you?
Great to see you. Hey, so I'm going to take you from the very beginning again, because we had a lot of response when we first had you on the air, and I want to take it from the very top because we picked up a number of new affiliates, and you're on a different time slot at this point. Talk about what exactly you guys do, because this is exciting stuff.
Yeah, we make what's called smart glasses. Apple Vision Pro is an example of a very big, bulky pair of these kinds of devices. It helps to get a little bit of a history on the company. Let me go back. We started working in the U.S. defense space, and we made these devices that were wearable displays. It looked like an eyepiece that was maybe the size of a small cigarette pack. And what you would do is the Special Forces guys would throw a robot inside a building. The robot would run inside the building, and the cameras that were on the robot would come up in the video feed of this eyepiece. Wow. You could also take that eyepiece and plug it into your Tough Book, and you could, run your Tough Book at night with the lights off because, it's nighttime. You don't want to look like a Christmas tree. The problem is it was big and it was bulky and it was heavy. We have been working since then with the Special Forces guys to make glasses that actually look like a pair of Oakley-style sunglasses, super lightweight, fashion-forward, things that people would actually buy and wear. And we do that in the medical space. We do it for enterprise. We do it for remote support. There are some police force applications that are using the glasses. And most recently, because we've been making these waveguides, the glasses are beginning to look just like a regular pair of Oakley-style glasses, which is what the Special Forces guys wanted long years ago when we started. And the waveguides, the optics that go inside of these things, Vuzix builds right here in the United States of America. We can do them in super high volume, and we're about ready to address this really big volume opportunity in the broader markets, where effectively it's a replacement for your smartwatch and maybe someday your phone. And if you look at smartwatches, right, 300 million smartwatches sold a year. It's big business.
Paul Travers, CEO, President of Vuzix, NASDAQ symbol VUZI. Check them out, Vuzix.com, VUZ as in zoo, IX.com. Paul, as the technology gets better, does the size of the technology and the price come down? How does that work?
Well, it's a little bit different than the semiconductor industry, where you can shrink a DRAM that maybe at one point was an inch in diagonal to something that's the size of I don't know, your fingernail, and then smaller and then smaller, and it gets cheaper. It's not quite like that, because these optics, they're the size of a pair of glasses optics, right? So, and it uses semiconductor kinds of processes to make the optics. So you don't get the economies of scale. You need a unique way of manufacturing. And we have that. We've got custom built manufacturing processes that allow us to build these waveguides in super high volumes and at really good price points. The rest of the tech is coming right out of the semiconductor industries, the displays, the processors, et cetera. And that's why these things are getting smaller and smaller and reaching to the point to where they look like regular glasses. And the other thing that's happening is they're being tied to your phone with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections. So the phone's got this great big processor in it, but it's in your pocket.
Right. Hey, Paul, I got a question. As you talk about manufacturing, how much business is there in the OEM space? And I know you're a CEO of a public company, and you gotta be careful about answering what's on the pipe, but it seems to me you don't need a lot of initial investment to get OEM stuff going. Am I accurate in saying that, or is that a barrier you don't want to?
Yeah. So we have a manufacturing plant that by the time this year's over with, it can put out every 6 seconds a waveguide, like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Bang, 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 right? Wow. And if you think about the size of the market, the smart watch is 300 million watches a year right now.
What is that in billions? Because because the next question is when are we launching the consumer? Today, tomorrow? When do we get some? Let's go, because we're ready.
To think about it for a minute, if you only got 1 million pieces, right? And the retail prices of these things will be sub $500, but 1 million pieces is 500 million in revenue. If you got to 20 million, 30 million, which is 10% of the smartwatch, we're talking 2 to 3 billion in revenues.
Let me tell you why this is important. It's so interesting, because being a general partner in a venture fund and running hedge funds like I have, when you ask someone who's pitching you, and he's already publicly traded, but a privately held deal comes to us, let's say like Vuzix, let's say they were private. They say, we have this idea, and it's this and it's that, and they're giving us all these anecdotes and how great it is. The only known thing you have no idea if it's going to work. You have no idea how it's going to take off. But what you do know is the market size. You know the market from the beginning by looking at this is the market we're entering. And the smart guys like Paul, how they calculate the worth of a business is they say, if this market is this big and we capture this much of it, the worst case scenario, what is that number? He just did that. And I think that's the way to approach this stuff, because you know and I know you're going to get more than 1 million watches or 1 million units. You know and I know. With how many units did you say are out there right now in terms of watches, and we can relate that to your product?
On an annual basis, there's about 300 million smartwatches sold.
So let's say you capture 2% of that is way more than, like, long story short, we're in good shape here. Real quickly, I got to talk to you about AI, and we got to get you back on the air here next week. But talk about the AI piece of this thing one more time for us, because obviously it's in the news. It's something that you guys are a part of. But I have a feeling that the OEM business and the AI business are gonna cross pollinate, and you're gonna be right in the middle of it.
People aren't going to use their phones. Well, they will today use their phones for AI because that's all they have.
Right.
But the whole idea of pointing your phone into the real world and looking at the display screen and maybe seeing directions down the street on the road through that just doesn't work very well. Put a pair of glasses on, all that stuff just appears in your view and it's part of the real world. It changes everything. AI and AR are designed to work hand to glove, and it's going to be the game-changing components that work on the glasses that really set this stuff apart. It's not going to be like Apple's spatial computing, great big things people don't want to wear. Super sexy, lightweight, fashion forward, all day wearable, connected to your personal AI agent, making the world a much better place to
when
be
he
in.
comes to San Diego here next month,
Please,
yes, I just committed to coming to San Diego.
Yeah.
You need to demonstrate those glasses. Paul Travers is his name. Paul, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.